The design of this engine is extraordinary, but it greatly enriches the history of the railway. A construction that seems foreign in Europe. We are somewhere in West Virginia, in the boonies, if you know what I mean. The railway opened up this region with the help of such seemingly exotic locomotives. Now one of them is coming to the Half-O range as a springtime surprise from Märklin and Trix. A truly successful premiere.
Ja, wir haben uns mal was ganz anderes überlegt.
Yes, we thought about something completely different and wondered which locomotives we didn't have in our assortment yet. In doing so, we came across a very quaint locomotive, a steam locomotive, a US steam locomotive, the so-called Shay. This is a US-geared steam locomotive that looks quite different from our conventional steam locomotives.
Ganz anders aussieht wie unsere herkömmlichen Dampflokomotiven.
The number 5 of the former Western Maryland was selected, a Class D, the highest of 4 classes. The CAD construction shows the drive acting on joint shafts via crankshafts and on the trucks via bevel gears. Here is a rare picture of the prototype machine taken around 1940. The propulsion was invented by Ephraim Shay around 1873. And generations later, the Göppingen-based company has also worked with this design. And then you start delving into the subject. We decided on a standard gauge locomotive. Of course, the Shay was also available primarily for light and logging railroads on narrow gauge tracks. But that wouldn't necessarily fit our Half-O gauge. That's why we chose a standard gauge Shay. Yes, and the result, I have to say, is inspiring. The designers have succeeded in perfectly incorporating the typical propulsion elements into the model. A smoke generator is included as standard, and a buffer capacitor ensures a smooth operation.
The locomotive is natürlich Märklin-like.
The locomotive is, of course, made largely of metal, in true Märklin style. We have implemented the entire drive technology on one side. The other side is not quite as interesting. It should perhaps be mentioned that a great feature can be seen when you look at the locomotive from the front. The boiler is slightly offset to the right because the entire gearbox unit, the entire propulsion unit, is located on the left side of the locomotive. And of course, this gives the locomotive an original look. Numerous sound and light functions can be activated, including the lighting of the driver's cab, which features a figure of an engineer and a stoker. When you see the locomotive, it is truly fascinating to see this technology with the joint shafts and gear rods, how it all works with bevel gears on the bogies. It is fascinating how it works in the prototype and how it is implemented in the model. The Half-O counterpart is traveling at a leisurely pace, like the original Shay, which also had a top speed of 25 km per hour. That was absolutely sufficient for the winding and often difficult routes. The boiler was placed on the side to achieve optimal weight distribution. Of course, matching cars are also available for this quaint engine. These are simple flat cars with a load of wood on them. They transport the wood out of the forest. However, the Shays were also used in coal mining areas, where wood was also needed for coal mining. And so these locomotives were used to transport wood to these areas. 3 of each car are being offered by Trix and Märklin. You can put together a pretty train with the models, which is sure to attract attention on half-hour layouts. The other side of the locomotive looks far less spectacular. If you see the engine from this perspective, you may not drop everything and run outside to look at it, but you'll enjoy listening to the sound of the locomotive nonetheless. It is a very special experience to see one of the surviving Shays in action. The excitement is great. A total of 2,770 engines were built at the Lima Locomotive Works. The Cars Scenic Railroad is a good place to go, because the strongest Shay ever built, number 6, bravely runs here. It was the last Shay to be built and started rolling in 1945. The Shay also looks very good on layouts that are not modeled on the US prototype, and its sound is unique. Of course, it has a corresponding steam locomotive sound, but not a huge dull steam locomotive hissing as we know it from German steam locomotives. It sounds more like a sewing machine, I'd say. A fascinating look that will keep the legend of the Shay alive for years to come. This engine will definitely give all Märklin and Trix fans who have a place in their hearts for special locomotives unforgettable memories.